Welcome, everyone, to Ladder Daily Digest. We honor creators, and we are in Tim, the creator's living room, talking about things. We were noticing the other day that we had some interesting stories to share. So we thought we would call those unique experiences, since a lot of times they call unique athletes or unique other people a unicorn. We thought we would say that unicorns have been spotted in our lives, we'll say. And I'll start out with one. One that I will be able to talk about is I held the chains on the chain gang at Stanford for 20 years. My first year, I got to stand next to Bill Walsh and whisper to his ear, "Throw the bomb." And that was a fun thing to do.
Did he
And I
listen?
also got to meet Joe Montana while he was there at a bowl game, I'll say. So I'll start out with that, and then we'll let Tim go with some things if he wants to say some things.
Well,
I just,
Saturday. Go ahead, Randy.
well, I just want to add that I actually saw visual proof of being at the ball game holding chains.
Yes,
Photograph.
we both did. Yes, photographic proof.
I
I
wasn't
occasionally
born.
I occasionally have
I
that
wasn't
picture
born
as
yet.
my Facebook picture, so I think I'm going to put that up again so that people can see it. Or I'll do the one where I'm shaking Joe Montana's hand. The highlight of
Cool.
Joe Montana's life, I think, if he was on this show, he would say he got to meet Gene Judson once.
Cool.
The most important people aren't here, but we're here. So
That's right. That's right. We're here right now. Yeah. Well, Saturday, I got to spend the night with Bill Shatner at the Hollywood Charity Horse Show, and I posted videos and photographs on my Facebook page to prove that I was at the concert and that I saw Bill.
I saw photographic evidence of that as
It
well.
was great. I got to play security at the door when the people came in. I was in the perfect spot to shoot the concert. Not in front, but on the side. It was good enough for me. And it was fun. Had a lot of fun.
If anybody has some unique experiences, unique stories, like if you got to watch a member of the general authorities, experience some momentary lapse of decorum or something, and or got to see him at a restaurant or something, I don't know, check and see how much they tipped. That's what I always wonder. If they're so
Well,
good.
when I was a kid, uh, I met John Wayne. John Wayne's son, I think it was Patrick, married my friend David Burns' cousin. We would walk home from school. We went to Overland Avenue Elementary, and he lived at the corner of on Manning, and I lived up the street. And we used to stop. I'd walk home with David, and we'd go in his house and get a drink of water and sit for a few minutes, and walk the rest of the way home. And one day, I'm walking, and there's this guy sitting in the living room. Okay, somebody's here visiting. And David's grandmother goes. She says, "Tim, there's somebody you should meet." I says, "Okay." She says, "John Wayne's here." And I said, "Where?" I looked. She said, "That's not John Wayne." And he stood up, and I was like, "Oh." He says, "I'm John Wayne." He shook my hand. And at that time, I was like 11 or 12, and I only knew John Wayne from watching war movies like They Were Expendable and Operation Pacific, and all the other war ones. Don't recall seeing a lot of westerns, but it was really interesting seeing that
Did he
way.
say? Did he say something like, "I ain't just a pulling your plow, kid"?
No, no. He just introduced himself and said hi and nice to meet you. Uh, uh, I had to get home, so it was about 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, long enough to get a drink of water and go home. I didn't even think about, but now that I think about it, I didn't think about spending more time there. I wanted to get home because I had stuff I had to do. I had homework to do. And then when we used to fly sailplanes out at El Mirage, well, how many people have been in a sailplane? See, that's a unique experience. My father's a pilot. We also had a sailplane. So we had an airplane and a sailplane. And a lot of people I met worked for NASA. I probably met astronauts. I couldn't tell you who now, but we used to go to church. Sometimes we go up on Saturday. Usually we went up on Sunday. We go to church in the morning, and then we drive up to El Mirage and go sailplane flying the rest of the afternoon. Met a lot of people there. Paul McCready, who was the head of NASA at the time, I didn't even know this. My sister, my mom and dad told me years later, well, he was head of NASA. I'm going, wait a minute. All these people were test pilots and stuff.
Wow.
I had no idea. I had no idea. Yeah, I know.
They didn't take you up for a little spin, did they?
No, my dad had a sailplane, so Dad and I would go up together. And I'd go up with the instructor once in a while for a lesson. Yeah. No,
Very cool.
I know.
I saw on Facebook fairly recently, what is something you've done that you don't think any other of the listeners or viewers has done? I selected the fact that I went up on top of one of the buildings on Main Street, Walt Disney World, with Mariah Carey, and we went up to watch the electrical parade that they put on. And Mariah and I were the only ones up there. No one knew we were up there. And we sang When You Wish Upon a Star together.
Oh, wow.
And I kept thinking, man, this incredible moment, no one's here to see me.
That's right. It's like being the apostle or something, getting a hole in one on golfing on Sunday. Can't really tell anybody.
Well,
Exactly.
I knew the Osmonds for a while. Their parents bought a apartment building near the temple, and they lived in Westwood Ward. I lived in Westwood Second Ward, but we had combined mutuals and Boy Scouts. And we'd have the Ohio Avenue Chapel has got a balcony in the back, and it would be full of 14 and 15-year-old girls that had come from all over the place. We'd always worry about running out of sacrament bread and water, which we did a couple of times because of that. But the Osmonds would go, either they'd come to the chapel or they'd go to UCLA Ward. Most of the time they went to the UCLA branch because there were too many kids looking for them on Sunday. Donnie was in the scout troop, his brother Merrill. I remember Merrill more than I do Donnie. Merrill and can't remember the other one. We'd go on a camp out up here at Kern Canyon. It's Camp Whitsett. It's still there. I drove up there a year or two ago with my kids to show it to them. There's a creek, and we threw Donnie in the creek up there. He was being a little brat. We picked him up.
If I
That
had
was
a
actually
dollar
good
for every
training
time
for
I
when
threw
he was
Donny
doing
Osmond
an
in a
amazing
creek.
dream
Hang on.
code.
Go again, one at a time.
That was a good training for Donnie when he was played the Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dream Code.
Dream Code.
When his brothers had to mob him and put him down the well or whatever they did with him. Okay, go Randy.
Tim,
Yes.
did your cousin ever borrow Marie Osmond's breast pump?
No.
Because mine did. And
Wow.
that kind of makes me famous.
Well, my sister Amy and Marie would fight all the time. They never got along in mutual. There'd always be a little fight between the two of them. I remember that. We used to have movie night once a month at the chapel. We showed Disney films, and they were there. But, yeah.
Dale Tingey.
Oh, I know that name.
Yeah, he was in charge of the Lamanite program. He was also a professor at BYU. And he asked me if I would come perform for his family relations class at BYU. And I did. I did a ventriloquist and played the guitar and stuff. Uh, and the next year, and Marie Osmond was in that class. So that was really special for me to be able to perform for her. So the next year, he asked me if I would come back and perform again. And I said, on one condition, Dale, if you set me up on a double date with Marie Osmond, I will come. So he called back a couple of days later. He said, hey, I've got it all set up, because he was like an uncle to the Osmonds. He said, I've got it all set up. And I'm like, oh, crap. I just got engaged because I was
Oh.
just back from my mission. I'm like, oh, man, you know, I missed that opportunity. I still went and performed again, but I just feel like Marie and I were definitely meant to be together. And
Oh.
it's my fault. I jumped the gun.
You know, I'm pretty sure that when I was engaged to Michelle, if I said, hey, I have a chance to go on a date with Marie Osmond, she'd probably say, go ahead.
Yeah, but I was young and in love and, you know, stupid. So I didn't.
Yeah, because Michelle would want to know what Marie was like in person.
From what I understand, a brat, but that's what the impression with her and my sister.
I would have been able to tell her how much country Marie was.
When it wasn't cool. Oh, no, that was Barbara.
She
What's
was
her
a
name?
little bit country, and Donnie was a little bit rock and roll.
Right.
I would have been able to tell her exactly how much country Marie would have been.
Who was it that sang, I was country when country wasn't cool? Barbara Mandel. Yes. Thank you.
Didn't ever have a chance to go on a date with Barbara Mandrell.
I didn't either. Weird. Wow, we have that in common. What about you,
That's
Tim?
right.
No, never. I didn't have a chance to go on a date with her either.
Wow.
So
What are the
I'll add
chances?
another contribution. I voted opposed to the Q15 in my state conference. Anybody else do that out there?
No.
Chime in. So
I didn't go to state.
Nemo had done it in Britain, and he filmed it. And then Maven, I think, had seen, or at least had known Nemo from Mormon stories and other things. And so Maven did it, and Maven asked me to record her appearance at her conference because of COVID. It was being telecast or whatever. And so I was like, wow, Maven Brody wants me to record. And so I did it, and I still have it. And then I thought, wow, that is a pretty brave thing to do. If a little 5-foot girl can do that, and a big 5'11" guy, 5'11 3/4, can do it. And so I went to the second row, and I stood up, voted opposed to the first presidency, voted opposed to the Quorum of the 12. And then I voted in favor of all the local leaders. I made sure everybody said it. So I stood up for the first nay vote, and then I didn't stand up, but I raised my hand really high. And then I stood up again for when the stake president was being, what do you call it?
Sustained.
Stained. And then I just raised my hand for the rest of the high counselors and stuff. And so
Oh, you didn't oppose that?
nobody talked to me. There were 500 people there. They all, I've been in the stake for 60 plus years. Nobody said anything to me, but at least 500 people will say, saw somebody think for themselves for the first time in the Mormon church.
Way to go. I want it to be noted that I wore my Pride glasses today in celebration of June being Pride Month. And I see that, Jean, you Your shirt is pretty prideish. And Tim, I'm guessing that your underwear is like brilliant red, white, and blue, and orange, green.
But don't show us.
Okay, I won't.
I had uh, I had frozen yogurt with Angelina Jolie and two of her kids.
Wow.
I was visiting my son Garrett, who lives right there in Studio City. Lived, and now he's in Burbank, and we went for frozen yogurt. And who walks in but Angelina Jolie, and she sits right next to us. And so she's probably somewhere telling this story, only she leaves out the part that she had frozen yogurt with Randy C. Watts. She didn't know who I was, but I sure knew who she was. So that makes me pretty famous.
Randy,
Yay.
are you able to read Peter's story online?
Are you kidding? Of course I read Peter's story.
Go ahead and read it out loud to us so that the audience that maybe doesn't see the chat or can't, as they're listening, can hear Peter Higgs' story.
Peter Higgs says, I met R. Lee Ermey, gunny sergeant from Full Metal Jacket, when I was on my first tour in Iraq. He was there doing shows for the U.S. troops. He joined us at the table for lunch because we were Aussies. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Peter.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Well, Tim, you've had several brushes with fame growing up in California. I know you've got a lot of stories about that.
Well, I went to school with Ray Bradbury's daughter, Bettina, and I go to their house once in a while. And one day, Ray Bradbury was coming to talk at school, and I said, Bettina, Ray's coming to talk to school. Ray Bradbury, the author. And she looked at me and she says, Tim, that's my dad. And I went, wait a minute. You mean the guy I've been talking to about when I go to your house? And you showed, that's the same Ray Bradbury?
Wow.
I know. Well, Marjorie Main lived up on Patricia Avenue. There's two hills. Well, Motor Avenue goes, and then there's a hill, and there's another hill. My house is on this hill. But Marjorie Main lived next door to my friend Jody, and she would put up every once in a while milk and cookies when we'd walk home from school. She'd give us milk and cookies, and she was not. And I didn't know who she was until I saw the Ma and Pa Kettle movies because they were on ABC on Channel 7. And I says, you're that lady in the movies. She said, that's right, but no idea who she was. Jack Weston and Marge Redmond lived next door, down the street a little ways from her, well, a couple houses down. And I'd see Jack walking his little dog every once in a while. I don't know. I mean, there were so many people. I'd hate to live there now because the paparazzi would be all over the place. But I went to school with, I can't tell you, actors, kids, and people that, you're either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or you're taught at USC or UCLA, or you're in the movie industry. I mean, that's pretty much my neighborhood.
When you saw Jack walking his dog, was he nimble and quick? It's hard,
Yeah. Well, we had two poodles, and I would take them for a walk around 5 o'clock every night. And he'd do the same with his dog, and we'd talk a little bit, but he wasn't really talkative. I didn't know who he was at first, and I recognized him one day. Oh, this is this guy I talked to. Oh, who was it, though? But was it Stan or Ollie?
Stan and Ollie, I've seen
Laurel
them
and Hardy
together.
Yeah, but he lived in Cheviot Hills. Not Stan's the Ollie's the thin one, right? Yeah, and I'd see him occasionally. He died in 63 or 5, I remember, like around that time. And I'd see him occasionally. I didn't know who he was. And then one night we were trick-or-treating, and I recognized him then. Man. Yeah, it's been a long time. You know.
So
Hey, everybody.
Story.
There he is.
Says, my husband had a sporting goods store in Newhall. Lots of filming happened in downtown Newhall. Met quite a few celebrities. Sam Elliott used to come into the shop to use the bathroom. Sam Elliott there. He probably wrote his phone number and said for a good time.
I think it's me on the camera.
Call me.
Then Peter Higgs says, Sam Elliott, love that guy. He's more Western than John Wayne in cleaning. Is he the guy with the deep voice and has the big long mustache?
All the women love him. Yes.
Was he like the narrator to the dude? What was the dude?
Yeah. Yes.
He's in it.
What's the movie?
It's funny how we can't think of it.
The movie with Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges was the dude.
Okay, I only have 5 minutes. You want a quick story? Okay. The only stories I have are with celebrities in the church, though.
That's fine.
Lay them on us.
Okay, so I was, let's see, 18 at the time, where, you know, you could only leave on a mission when you were 19. Or was it 19? Or was it 17 and you had to leave when you were 18? It was 19 for men for a long time, right?
Yes.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. So that was my situation, but I have a September birthday. So if I were to leave when I turned 19, then I would get back from my mission after like all the colleges had started, right? So I was really worried about this, and I was doing everything I could to prepare for a mission. I was like, you know, practicing lessons. I was riding my bike every morning. And on one of my bike rides in the morning, I found all these like official documents strewn along my route, along the road. And I gather them all up, and it's all in Russian. But the one thing in English was a business card that said, Joseph B. Wirthlin, Quorum of the 12 Apostles.
Wow.
So we gather everything up. We send pictures to his office, and we send it to the secretary, and she receives them. She's like, oh, yeah, this lady was in. She was asking for some, I don't know, help or something. But we know how to contact her. We can get her papers and her ID back. And so we send it all in. A week passes. We don't really think anything of it. And then a week later, my dad gets a call from Joseph B. Wirthlin. And he talks to him for like, I don't know, 5 minutes. Just, you know, how you doing? How's your life? You know, what's your relationship with the church? Just like really superficial stuff. But at the end, he says, is there anything I can do for you and your family? And the only thing he can think of was, well, my son wants to go on his mission early. And his stake president, his bishop said, no, you got to wait till you turn the right age. And Elder Wirthlin said, no. Send his paperwork directly to my office and we'll take care of it. And I got my call like a week and a half later.
Dang.
Cool. I was 18 when I went to the mission home. I turned 19 on the Wednesday. I went on the 18th of August. My birthday's the 22nd. That was a Wednesday. That's the day we went down from the mission home to the LT, the language training mission in Provo.
Well, along those same lines, and
that's pretty cool, Kendall.
That is
really cool. Gotta go. Love you all.
All right, take care, buddy.
Okay, see ya.
Along those same lines, I ended up in the you remember Ed McMahon?
Yeah.
And you remember after Johnny Carson, he did that model search thing.
Star Search.
So one of the spokesmodels, the winner of the spokesmodel, he decided to court, even though he was married at the time. When he was in Vegas, it was with his spokesmodel. It's a long story, so I won't tell you all, but I ended up in his room with him and his model girlfriend. And and my wife's best friend. There were the four of us. And I went walking up the spiral staircase in this beautiful hotel suite that they gave him. And they had a whole seafood buffet laid out for him. And it was
Jeez.
incredible. And he's like, Randy, I want the best roses. I want the best wine that they have. Can you call and order it? And I said, yeah, Ed, no problem. So I went back downstairs and I called and I ordered the best whatever they had, you know. And she says, right away, Mr. McMahon. And I said, well, actually, my name's Randy. I'm with Ed. And then he says, Randy, come up here. I've got a question for you. In the meantime, my wife's best friend was drawing a bath for Ed and his date. And he says to his date, when I got up there, he says, you ask Randy, he'll tell you. And I said, ask me what? And she pulled down her top and said, do I need a boob job? I said, well, they look just really good to me. And Ed says, see, I told you, you don't need a boob job. I think I'm the only one that's ever experienced that.
That's an interesting job that you had.
I love it.
I was on vacation. That was not part of my job. It was a complete, total fluke that I ended up with Ed McMahon and his date and my wife's best friend. We were there for the opening of what's the pyramid-shaped one? The
Luxor. The Luxor.
We were there for the grand opening of that. And so he invited us to go along with him and my wife, who had not joined us because she was down at the restaurant waiting for us to come back. And long story short, he thought that I worked for the hotel because I was dressed up in a suit and tie. He says, hey, can you take me to my room? And I'm like, sure, Ed. And my wife's best friend had never seen a celebrity, and that's all she wanted. And she was freaking out. And I said, Ann, come here. Come over here and meet Ed. And he told me the name of his girlfriend. And then he says, we're getting married tonight, because he was drunk. That's why I'm using that voice. But he's like, we're getting married tonight. And I'm knowing in my brain that he's already married. But he says, can you show us up to our room? And I'm like, I'm going to run with this. So I says, sure, Ed, where's your key? And he gave me the key, and a security guard comes walking up, and I'm thinking, oh, crap, I'm in trouble. And the security guard came up, and he said, can I help you guys? And I said, yeah, Ed and I want to know how in the heck to get to this room. He goes, oh, let me escort you up there. So now he's thinking I'm with Ed McMahon. Ed McMahon's thinking I'm with the hotel. And Ann is tagging along, drooling because she's with this celebrity now. And so we go walking into his room, and it was just a party. And my poor wife was still, this is my first wife, mother of my kids. She was down at the table waiting on the food because we were starving to death. Little did she know that, it just happened. So we tried to get the message to her, and we did, that we were in Ed McMahon's room. So she came on up afterwards. But yeah, we partied with Ed and his naked date. But
yeah, I would have told him, your girl's boobs are fine, but you could use a reduction.
Well, he invited me he invited Ann and I to join them in their bed after the bath. And of course, we weren't going to refuse that. Just kidding. We did. We refused. We said, no, we're going to give you you're going to give you some personal time, and we've got to head out. But anyway, so we saw him the next night, the grand opening, and he says, you guys come over and get in our limousine, and let's party around the town, We had a blast. And
wow.
So years later, I'm at Walt Disney World working now, and I'm at the Grand Floridian Hotel where my office was, which is their big, fanciest hotel. And I step into the elevator, and who's in there is Ed McMahon. He looks at me, and I said, hey, Ed, good to see you again. And he's like, I can tell he thinks he's supposed to know me.
The wheels are spinning.
What?
I said his wheels are spinning inside. Like, where do I know
Yeah.
this guy from?
He's trying to figure it out. And I said, it's Randy. He goes, oh, yeah, Randy. Yeah, it is good to see you again. I don't think he has any clue of where he knew me from. He was intoxicated the whole time. But yeah, that was a kick in the head.
So in a way, that's your Pride Month story where Ed McMahon invited you to bed with him.
Well, I think that yeah. Okay. Well, you know what?
We'll
You got
go
to
with
do
it.
what you got to do to advance in this world, right?
That's right.
Well, I saw a lot of celebrities Saturday night, but I couldn't tell you who they were. I mean,
Oh, right, the William Shatner thing.
yeah, I'm standing at the door welcoming everybody in.
Oh, I
And
mean the Bill event. That's what you call
The
it.
Bill event.
Invited you to his event.
Oh, I volunteered with my friend Daryl that runs the volunteers. And,
Your friend Daryl and your other friend Daryl?
Yes.
Your other brother.
But,
So Lindsay Thompson says that she bought a salami at a deli in Shady Cove, Oregon, alongside Donald Sutherland a decade ago. Lots of celebs own property on the Rogue River in that area and or visit their celeb friends there. There you go.
Very cool. Very cool. Tim, I would venture to guess that all the celebrities at the William Shatner horse show are telling their friends stories now, saying, you're not going to believe who I saw at the William Shatner horse show. Tim Rathbone was there.
I had my Searchers shirt on that I wore at Thrive, and I had two people compliment me on it, and I had one offer me $100 for it, and I tried to find the guy because I would have given it to him because I can get another one, But yeah,
you would have given it to him for $100, or given it to him just taking the shirt off your back.
Well, if he was going to pay me $100, I'll take the $100. I can get another shirt. I know how to get another one.
It's a favor that pays you both well.
Yes.
It was a Thrive shirt. Is that what you said?
No, I wore it at Thrive. My Searchers, John Ford's film, The Searchers. That I wore the shirt at Thrive on Friday night. I wore it because it's a Western thing. I wore it to the.
I have a Mormon celebrity story.
I bet some too. Okay.
In 2022, I went to my first Mormon History Association meeting. And they were honoring Tim's 200th anniversary of going to Mormon History Association. But because I was a new member or whatever, first timer, I got to go to the breakfast for the first timers, and I saw a couple at a table. They were kind of elderly, but I knew who they were, and I thought I better pick one of the seats there before somebody else grabs it. And it was Richard and Claudia Bushman.
Bushmans.
I got to have breakfast with the Bushmans. That sounds like a good book or podcast or story. So I told Richard, I said, I had the computer read me your book, right? Rough Stone Rolling, and I said, and I stayed awake nearly the whole time. And he goes,
"Oh, he was
certainly just like you, Randy." He says, I got what you're saying there."
Well, I took classes from Mike Quinn, and I ate dinner with Mike Quinn a few times, actually.
And that's kind of a Pride History Month story.
Yeah, it's a Pride History Month. Yeah.
About when did he come out as gay? Like around 2000 or something, or he was well into his career?
I knew it long before that.
Sure. Before he did.
No. I knew it about 94, 95. Maybe a little earlier than that. I knew it earlier than that.
Who are we talking about?
Mike Quinn.
Oh.
D. Michael Quinn, the historian.
I think I knew it from when he and Jan got divorced. But
What's D. Michael Quinn's most famous book?
What's his most
Finding? Is it the Post Manifesto
Well, his Post Manifesto polygamy article.
polygamy article? That's a pretty famous one, right?
Yeah, his book, his hierarchy books. The
I heard
magic
somebody say
book.
his books are like 700 pages, and half
Yeah.
of the book is his references.
Footnotes. Yeah, that's
Footnotes.
right.
Well, that's fun. That's cool.
Oh, it's really nice.
Kinder Kim says, my dad worked on the phone system at Universal Studios. He was there about a month. He bought me a photo of the monkeys signed by Davy Jones. I can't remember what happened to it.
That's pretty cool, Kinder Kim. It's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
I saw Davy Jones play Oliver at the Music Center in LA with my cousin.
Did he play Oliver?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he played Oliver or if he played the Artful Dodger. I can't remember what part he played, but he was in the play. My cousin wanted to go, and we went because she wanted to see Davy Jones. I remember that.
Well, hey, with the monkeys.
Yeah, the monkeys are pretty good, but I think I'd rather have an autograph thing from the Banana Splits
Ha ha.
for us old people. An old person joke.
I met a member of the Iron Butterfly who did Agata Davida, one of the guitarists. I think it was the bass guitarist. When I lived in San Luis Obispo.
MB says her daughter was Baby Holly in Breaking Bad season 2. That was fun.
Wow.
Now I've got to see Breaking Bad season 2. I saw
She
the
was a
first
baby.
episode of Breaking Bad, and then I didn't think as a Mormon I should watch any more of it.
I was in the movie The People versus Larry Flint.
You're in the movie?
I was in the movie.
You weren't one of the centerfolds that were testifying in his behalf?
No, don't I wish. I would have been with Ed McMahon if that were the case. But I was an extra in the movie, and I just lucked out that I got my whole face fills the screen for just a minute.
Were you a security guard or something?
No, I was in a town council meeting, and I was managing the hotel, the Peabody Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee at the time. And I helped him out, and I was helping Larry Flint especially because he was there as a consultant, and Woody Harrelson played him.
Yeah.
Woody
Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. Yeah. And so I got to sit in the town council meeting. They passed out these Hustler magazines to all of us, and they had the old antique covers on them. You know, they had printed them for the movie. The covers looked, but the insides were all definitely up to date and modern. But anyway, we're thumbing through them, and we're supposed to look disgusted, and yeah, I looked really disgusted. But it was fun because she came up and asked if I wanted to be in the movie because I was taking care of them and doing them favors, and I said yeah. So they took me to the trailer and made me up with sideburns on me, and
wow,
made me look back in the day that time, and that was a kick in the head. That was fun. And so now I watch that movie every opportunity I get, which has been like 3 times.
I haven't seen it for years.
And you don't remember me in it, Tim? What's the deal?
No, I have to watch it again. Okay. My grandfather lived in New York, and people used to say that he was either Walter Pidgeon or Frederick March because he looked like either one of them. And when they go to the restaurants, he would get he'd get taken care of because people thought that my grandpa was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ride that wave. That's what I said.
Ride that way. Well, I worked for Cameo Casting. We cast extras for movies, and I know a lot of the people that I sent to be extras now are stars.
Oh wow.
But I'd have to go look but a lot of people who were extras are now like Brad Pitt was one of our cameo extras, and he was supposed to go do a job, but he went to the tryout for Thelma and Louise, and that's where he became famous.
Do you think he knew I was having frozen yogurt with his wife, Angelina Jolie?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I met general authorities too, but man, who did I meet? L. Tom Perry when he was a 70 something. I met Oaks a couple of times. He used to come to the Wilkinson Center and play miniature golf with his kids when my ex-wife and I would go down and play miniature golf. He was there a few times, some around campus.
Oaks was like the president of the school in the 70s.
This is after he was president of the school. This was when Holland was president. But he'd be down there. I see him a couple of times.
I might be joined by a celebrity pretty soon.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's kind of
Sorry.
sparse tonight.
It is sparse tonight. Somebody come join us.
I have to make room in my studio.
Oh, my friend Dennis Thompson, his father Ray Thompson was the prop man on Perry Mason and also on The Invaders. And we used to play with the props from those. When you talked about the magazines, hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Wait, you know Michelle Judson?
Oh,
I
yeah.
know Michelle Judson. I've
There's
met
this-
Michelle in person.
There's the
Yeah.
celebrity story.
That's right. There's a celebrity story.
I have a celebrity story, but were you saying something, Tim? I didn't want to interrupt.
I was just talking about, when Randy was talking about the magazines, Dennis's dad was the prop man. And after the series ended, he brought all the props they used. He had this orange box crates things on wheels like a tool chest. And it had all the props in it and stuff. And we look at the magazines, it has a fake cover on it. It'd be a Time or a Newsweek inside. I'd open it up and then I realized, what they did in movies back then. Now they don't care. But back then they put a fake thing on it. He had prop newspapers that we'd play with, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, yeah.
Nice.
So I thought, oh well, I could share a story because I got to meet Merlin Olsen.
Oh, I
That
love
is-
Merlin Olsen.
He was
Oh, wow.
a football player for the Rams, and he was also on Little House on the Prairie. And when I was probably about 13, so that would have been in 1976. So around there, I was at girls' camp, and
In the Sierra Nevadas.
yeah, a Pinecrest area, if you know where that is. And we heard that Little House on the Prairie, which I loved because I was just about the same age as
Oh,
Melissa Gilbert, and I loved the show, and they were filming it just down the road from where we were having girls' camp. And so the leaders went and arranged that Merlin Olsen, being a Mormon, would spend some time with us, talking to us. And so we all walked down the road, and we got to and he came and spoke with us, and it was really cool. He signed autographs for everybody. And actually, because I didn't really know who he was too well, but Michael Landon was also there. He didn't talk to us because, that wasn't the arrangement, but I could see him. And I thought it was really cool that I could see him sitting in a chair just over a little bit. But Merlin Olsen posed for a photograph. And I was the lucky one who he put his hand on my shoulder. And then they took the photograph. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow.
It probably meant the church was true to
wow.
That's right. Yeah. So it was super nice of him to spend, a little bit of time and talk to us. Probably said something churchy, and I don't know what he said because I was young and I don't remember, but it was just really cool to be able to have that experience.
There's Brother Jones.
So I thought that I'd share that with everybody.
Brother Jones, you just sent me some
Oh, you're
pictures.
on
Jones?
mute. Your connection's on mute.
I think Brother Jones looks like he's in a train station.
He's in China.
Now my mic is
Jones.
unmuted. You can hear me,
Oh, there you
Yes.
go. We can hear you.
but I can't hear you for some reason. Anyway,
Okay. He's in China.
I just say hello. I'm jumping on a plane soon. China has been unbelievable. I got a lot to tell you when I get back. Yeah, man, we live in a new world, man.
Very cool. Safe travel.
But since I can't hear you, I'll update you guys later. It's good to see you guys. Take care. Love you all, and be safe. And cheers.
Cheers.
You be safe.
Wow. Cool.
I always had a man crush on Michael Landon. I wanted to
Huh.
be. And then it was Patrick Swayze that I wanted to be. And weird. I never became either one of them.
Last year at the Comic-Con here in Bakersfield, they had all the survivors from Little House on the Prairie talk. And I met some of the actors there. And the
How long
ones
ago was that?
1 or 2 years ago. Well,
Okay.
this last one was the cast of Aliens, and Michael Biehn and all these other guys that were in Aliens were there, and the girls. But who's the kid that's also in Jag? The actor. He played a kid on Little House. He was at MGM Studios, and who's the guy that played the Tin Man? Wizard of Oz.
I never did get
Jack Haley. Jack Haley was there, and he said, "I got to show you kids something." And there was this big oil heater in the corner of the soundstage, and he pulled it back, and on the floor was still part of the yellow brick road.
Oh, cool.
Right.
I know.
Really
Yeah.
Tin Man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Jack Haley. So they talked about that, and then just a few weeks. Well, that's where I met the door gunner from Full Metal Jacket. He signed my poster back here behind me. Anyway, yeah. So I met him. I met the door gunner from Full Metal Jacket.
My dad went to the home of James Brolin and Barbara Streisand because James Brolin wanted to buy one of my dad's racehorses. And so
Whoa.
they invited him over to their house, and he got to visit with them and became buddies with James Brolin. Dr. Kildare's
Yeah, I know who he is.
Welby MD's, what was it, Marcus Welby MD, I think?
WB, yeah.
Yeah, the young doctor, but he wasn't all that young anymore, but
Berlin.
that's fun. I didn't get to join him on that trip.
Did you say James Berlin, the young doctor?
Yes.
He was the younger doctor. Marcus Welby was the older doctor.
Right.
I did get to, what's her name? The medicine woman. Oh,
Jane Seymour.
Jane Seymour. I got to have her crawl under my overcoat and hang on to me while I led her through a torrential rainstorm at Disney and protected her from all the paparazzi because it was just celebrities and paparazzi that night opening. It was the opening of Euro Disney. And her kid was sick. So they took him to the medical facility, and she asked, how do I get there in all this paparazzi and all this crowd? And she says, it's pouring rain. I said, just get under my coat. So she got under my coat, wrapped her arms around me, and we made our way through the park to the medical. And I'm thinking, this is one of those moments that no one would believe if they didn't see it. And I kind of wish we had cell phones back then that we could take videos of all this stuff.
Right.
But no.
We just have to rely on our memory.
Right. Well,
And it's a
Yeah.
real coincidence, Randy, because you had Jane Seymour under your overcoat, and she was over my undercoat once. Just a
Ha
little
ha ha.
twist of fate.
The-
Not really.
That's pretty brave of you there, Gene. Just saying.
That's right.
The guy I was thinking about was Patrick Laberteau from Little House and Jag. Anyway, he's the one that told me that story because we talked about the neighborhood. He lived in the same neighborhood I did. I never did. Well, I'd moved away by the time he was there anyway. But we talked about because in West LA, okay, there's 20th Century Foxes at Peto Boulevard, and there's Motor Avenue that goes down, and Motor Avenue dead ends into what is now Sony, but was MGM and Washington Boulevard. So we talked about the streets in the neighborhood, and he went to the same schools I did, except later. Oh, Billy Mooney. Okay, Billy Mooney
Hi,
was
Michelle.
Hi.
my friend Craig Ellick's one of his best friends, and when Billy wasn't shooting, he'd come to school. He and Angela Cartwright lived in the neighborhood, and they'd come to class when they weren't doing stuff. And Billy and I had a photography class together in high school. Okay, there's another brush with destiny.
Did you say Billy Mummy
Yeah, Billy Mooney. Yeah, Mummy.
from
Yeah,
Lost in Space?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Will Robinson.
Yeah.
See, you have to use that name for me to recognize him. Will Robinson.
Well,
Danger, Will Robinson. Yes.
he's just like us. He's just a kid, you know. I mean, it's like when you grow up around them, they're not special. They're just
Right. Everybody, for some reason, is a person. Right.
is a person. Yeah.
Nobody's an alien. Nobody's extra special, but they do special things, and they
Like-
put in special positions sometimes.
I can tell you about my experience with Mr. Shat with Bill. Okay, he's a big kid. I'm sitting in a meeting with him, and he's cracking us all up and talking about stuff. he's fun. But
How
yeah,
old is he now, Tim?
he's 94, and he looked it. Unfortunately,
But he was
you
up
could-
walking. I saw the video that you.
Yeah, he's walking. Yeah, well, that's the thing is when you see him when he's not on, he's like an old man, and when he's on as long as he
Able
can
to step up his game.
step it up. Yeah,
Kinder
And
Kim
he-
said she got so sick on the teacups at Disneyland, she ended up in the medical clinic. And I have to say that I saw projectiles when I was walking by that. So I vouch for Kinder Kim that could happen on that.
Yeah.
side.
Give it a wide berth.
like okay, if anybody know who Joel Gresh is, he's married to one of Bill's daughters. I saw him Saturday night. He said hi to me. We know every time he comes, I talk to him. We talk about something. He's an actor, you may know. Anyway,
Billy was in the Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Yeah, in
So that wish people into the corn.
yes.
I don't remember that episode in particular, but I liked Billy Mummy as an actor.
Yeah.
That should be a show sometime. Our favorite episode of Twilight Zone.
Yeah. So
'Cause we-
Kinder Kim
Oh.
said her husband's aunt was the seamstress for Lawrence Welk. I wonder if she was stitching and Lawrence Welk got the idea a 1 and a 2 and a 3.
That's hilarious. You had me in stitches.
That's right. Right. That story brings down the house for sure.
So I was Jean-Claude Van Damme's bodyguard, just for Disney, for the opening of Euro Disney. I had Jean-Claude Van Damme, along with several others. We traded off every day. But I got to be Michael Jackson's bodyguard in Florida, along with Janet Jackson and LaToya Jackson. And all the Jacksons. And did you ever get a chance to see that breast thing, Gene? I know you were wanting to.
Oh, wait a second. I was going to say that Tim was Stonewall Jackson's bodyguard.
Yeah,
what about the
you know,
breast thing?
it's funny to be sitting here with such old guys because, you know, you two are so much older than I am. It's like talking to my grandfather
That's right.
twice.
That's what I say. I'm never going to be a great grandfather. I'm just going to be okay at it.
Yes, Kinder Kim, Matthew Loberto, whatever, however you say that name. Yeah, I met him. And a couple others from Little House. Yeah.
Cool. I've got my Pride cup, by the way, not just my glasses, but my cup. And I put the Pride flag outside on my house, which is
Cool.
really funny because I live in a very conservative neighborhood. And, you know, here we are. Amanda and I are very, very progressively liberal. And so we let it loose on Pride, you know, but they all seem to love it.
I'm in the most conservative city in California.
Is it?
Yes, Bakersfield is the most conservative city in California.
I was considering going to Pride Day in Utah, but I couldn't pull the trigger to make that trip. But I'm going to go to the athletics game in Sacramento where they're going to be honoring, darn it, what's his name now?
Ow!
I just had his name just a second ago, but he was one of the first ball players to come out as gay, and I'm ashamed now that I can't remember, but I can look it up.
Well, you're just across the river from San Francisco, Gene. That's the biggest Pride event ever.
That's right. I'm afraid to go to San Francisco just because of everything.
Just wear your shirt. Wait a minute. Are you saying San Francisco's rougher than Oakland? Because I stayed in the ghettos in Oakland when I came to see you. And I thought I was going to get shot every time I walked out of the hotel.
Yep.
And he goes quiet.
Glenn Burke Pride Night is this Saturday night. And I'm going to the game with a childhood friend, the first girl I ever slow danced with. And
wow.
Are going to go there. And she happens to be TBM, which is okay. It's okay for people to be wherever they want to be on their spiritual journey.
That's right. They're where they're supposed to be.
And Glenn Burke Pride Night might give us some chance to have some good talk to each other. Ooh, and additionally, there'll be post-game fireworks. I bet there'll be multicolored fireworks.
That would be bizarre.
Rainbow fireworks.
I went to West Hollywood's Pride Festival a few years ago with my son Garrett. That was crazy. And Spokane, we have a pretty big Pride Festival coming up next week. And that's always a kick in the head.
If anybody else wants to join the show, I'll post the link.
The link.
Joe's playing porn music here. Bow chicka.
Boom chicka bow.
So aside from having frozen yogurt with Angelina Jolie, because Garrett lived in Studio City with his very prominent Hollywood writer uncle, every Halloween, all the celebs would come to their house. And my daughter, Marianne, had the opportunity to pass Halloween candy out. And she was on cloud nine. And who's the guy that plays Wolverine? And he was in. My mind just goes to mush.
He's really handsome.
Yeah. What's his name? He played Wolverine. He's also in the Broadway production of. Just
Hey, he's a great singer. Oklahoma.
Oh, not Oklahoma.
He was in like
Not Chicago. Moulin Rouge. He was in Moulin Rouge. Well, anyway, so he's a kind of a, every woman loves him.
Hugh Jackman.
Thank you. Hugh Jackman.
Huge Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Anyway, she got to pass Halloween candy out to him, and she still
Cool.
talking about that. That was fun. Not for me. 'cause
Cool.
I wasn't there.
He
Cool.
was in The Greatest Showman. Les Miserables.
Yes, the greatest showman. And he and his wife are getting a divorce, which is sad.
I got to join Margaret Thatcher in her hotel room, and she took a portrait with me and had
Wow.
Her bed.
I had no invitations like that. And even if I had, I kind of doubt I would take her up on that. But she was amazing. She was incredibly kind and invited me, the lowly bodyguard, to come in and have a portrait taken with her. And I had to send it to Scotland Yard, who sent it back, and Disney framed it for me, and I have it hanging in my room.
Why did you have to send it to Scotland Yard?
Because every photograph of Margaret Thatcher has to be approved.
Oh, okay.
I heard that Margaret Thatcher had the Union Jack as bloomers. Old Union Jacks were sewn into bloomers. But that's just a rumor.
Well, I can tell you. Not really. I didn't see her bloomers.
No.
But I was with her for.
Was her nickname the Iron Lady, or is that somebody else?
That's her.
That's her.
That's her.
Yeah. I was with her for, I think, a week, 7 days. Just, anytime she was out of her room, I was with her. Until the very last day, then I got to go in her room and have my picture taken with her.
Hugh Jackman was in The Prestige with Christian Bale. Songs
Yes.
should have some stories. Songs should come on and tell some story that she has about some famous actor she saw or something like that.
Come on, songs.
Yesterday, I was thinking something happened to me when I was like 8 or 9 or 10, and I was going to share the story. And now that I'm 65, I can't remember what it was, but it was amazing.
I'll bet it was. Who was Miss Kitty? Someone Blake? Miss Kitty on Gunsmoke? Who was that, Tim? Amanda Blake, I think.
Amanda Blake, yes.
I got my picture taken with her when I was 8 years old. And she told me I was a cute little boy.
I was on the
To Tim and I, you still are.
what?
Yeah.
We what?
He's
Randy's
saying
still a cute little boy to you and I.
Tim.
Oh.
Aged, elderly.
I'm an
gonna go.
elderly, cute little boy.
I'm in the market for another walker.
I was on TV a couple of times.
Yes, Amanda Blake.
Yes, Amanda Blake.
What were you doing on TV, Tim?
I was on. We had this, Bozo the Clown, and then we had this Chevy at Hills Park used to have a casting pond, and we built shingle boats. And there was this guy that played a captain, and he would do Popeye and commercials and stuff. And they had the remote truck set up, and my sister Amy was the queen of the regatta. And they talked to us about our shingle boats, and we had a shingle boat race. And I can't remember the name of the guy, but he was Captain somebody or Sailor somebody, and
Was it local TV?
Local, yeah, Channel 5, KTLA.
We had a guy named Captain Satellite that did the after school show. It must have been something like it.
think Bozo was on Channel 13, if I remember it. KCOP, KTLA was Channel 5, KTTV was 11, KHJ was 9.
Joe
Yeah.
wants to know if it was right at the beginning of TV that you were on TV.
Yes, it was right at the beginning of TV, Joe.
It was black and white and fuzzy, but yeah.
It was black and white and fuzzy.
Yeah, I remember those days.
It was live TV.
We were latecomers when it came to color TV. My dad we never got a color TV, but yeah. So
my dad got one right before Star Trek started. The summer of '66, he got a Sylvania
cool.
color TV.
Well, here is a trivia question, and no looking this up. But who was Clarabelle the Clown? Who played him? Because Clarabelle never spoke.
I know.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
No.
No. This is a famous actor.
He's very famous. Everybody knows who he is. He was a
Barack Obama.
Nope, he was a captain.
Captain Kangaroo.
Yes, sir.
That was
Captain
Michelle. I came up
Kangaroo.
with that from the kitchen.
Captain Kangaroo was Clarabelle the Clown before he was Captain Kangaroo. All the young people listening to this, by the way, are like, who are all these people they're talking about?
What was his name? What was his name?
Oh,
Alexa, who played Captain Kangaroo?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Bob Keeshan was the actor who played Captain Kangaroo.
Bob Keeshan. Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't quite catch that last name.
Keeshan.
Keeshan, yeah.
Yeah. Bob Keeshan.
Bob Keeshan. You know, Kinder Kim needs to be our woman on the desk, or what do they call it? The
Fact checker.
well, you know, like on
Quality control.
on Mission Impossible, there's always that person that's guiding them, and
The spotter.
yeah, and she can provide us the information as we stumble on our words because we're so much older. Yeah, fact checker. There you go. The Kinder Kim, the official FC, the OFC.
Yes, our official fact checker. Oh,
Don't say
man.
fact checker 10 times fast.
Fact checker, 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 fact checker. There you go,
That
10 times
joke,
fast.
my somebody plucked feathers and she was the fastest feather plucker.
Feather collector.
There's a,
Did she
Yeah,
collect
you can say
seashells on the seashore?
it's sort of like that, but it gets to be X-rated pretty fast. Mother plucker, stuff like that.
Oh, I met Red Skelton. I met Red Skelton at the airport. I met Danny Kaye and Red Skelton at Santa Monica Airport and a couple others just
You
for
know,
a minute or two.
I just saw him yesterday. That's so weird you would bring him up. I saw a
Who?
clip of him, Red Skelton. I saw a clip of him back 1,000 years ago, and he had these 3 young boys singing, and it was the Bee Gees when they were little.
Wow.
And they were really good, too.
Yeah. Now, you said,
Here, Peter.
hi, Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Peter, can you hear us?
Ah,
I think we can hear you. Say something.
Yeah, here we go. How's that?
Yep, there you go. You're on.
If he couldn't hear us and you
on.
said say something, he wouldn't know.
I know.
Oh,
I was doing
I
the
suppose we're gonna speak
international
to the boss first.
international
Yeah,
sign language for talk.
no, not quite. How's life up there in the north? Because I can tell you, down here, it's an absolutely beautiful day.
yeah, it's your winter.
It's the end of fall.
So it's it is our winter. It's about our fourth day, and it's 1:45 in the afternoon. So it's actually quite nice. But
Peter-
because I'm retired, I get to spend my days in the shed working on my hot rod. So
All right.
Oh, that's awesome. Peter would be the excellent one to answer the question that I was asking our panel throughout the week. When a spaceship is up, and let's say it's the space station, and they take a picture of Earth, you can zoom down on it and it gets closer and closer. Why are the people always right side up, but when it's to the side of the Earth and they zoom in like to Australia, shouldn't the people be upside down? Why are they always right side up, even though, you know, I was trying to compare it to like a basketball. If you glued little people all over it, if you take a picture of it from up here, some of them are going to be upside down. So depending on where the space shuttle is, either you or us should be upside down. Anybody?
well,
Do we have
you
an
know what
answer
they
for
say,
that?
gravity sucks.
Gravity sucks.
It does now that I'm
That's
moving.
right.
So I'll tell you once and for all, Randy. A ship that can see us, that's over us, sees us standing.
Yeah.
Would be the same if a ship was over Australia. It would be the same perspective. It's just like that. All you
No,
have to do is put your hands like this and go like that.
no, Gene, if the ship was over on the side, though, not right over us, over on the side, and he's shooting down, some of those people have to be upside down.
They just
Or
don't
he's
do that.
shooting to the other side, some of them have to be right side up, or some of them are straight out.
It's just like if you're looking north, you go like that, and you look south, you don't go between your legs. You just turn around and you look.
You sit around.
Or do you do that? Do you like go between your legs?
When I want to see south,
To
I
look
look
south.
right between my legs.
Aren't we lucky the Earth isn't flat?
That's right. That's right.
Well, yeah. No one's ever been able to answer me. It's like when you cover the mirror with a towel, you can still see the reflection of you in the mirror if someone's standing at the side. How does the mirror know what to reflect if the towel is up in front of you?
It reflects light.
These things keep me awake, you guys. You're acting like this is silly. These things keep me awake at night.
No, it's normal.
And yes, the toilet water here does go backwards.
What's that?
That's right.
The toilet bowl spins the opposite direction.
Yeah. See?
Here it goes
Strangely
this way, there it goes that way.
And the clocks. Nope, I think they go the same direction.
But they don't go to the bathroom upside down. That's one thing I know.
No, that's the last thing you want.
That would lead to a mess.
I'm sure there's a joke in that, but I'm not going to say it. That's for sure. It's awesome having you guys on. Obviously, your evening time. It's my daytime here, so if I'm lucky, I'll get Mormonish, and then you guys are on straight after. So it's fantastic.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just for breakfast, and our shows for your Pilates. You're doing Pilates.
Just
The
curious.
only downside is Mormon Stories podcast, because he comes on about 3:30 in the morning, and I'm not bloody waking up for that.
I don't blame you.
Oh, you can always watch the replay.
What time is it there, Peter? What time is it there?
Okay, right now it's 12:50.
12:50 in the afternoon?
PM.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
What's the date? Is it a different date than us?
Well, in
Yes.
your future, today's the 4th.
The 4th.
So,
Yeah.
question number 3, why can't we call you and get the lottery numbers, and you tell us what they are because you're a day ahead.
Well,
And
he
then
could
we
tell us
win the
whether it's a
lottery,
good day or not.
We split the profits.
Well, if we could do that, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation by computer. We'd be sitting on a yacht in the Pacific somewhere, sucking down
That's right.
margaritas.
That's right.
That's right. It's fun talking to Peter and Ganesh Cherian. They can tell us the future.
They can tell us the future.
What year were you born, Peter?
Sorry, Jane, what was that?
What year were you born? Your year of birth.
I'm a baby. I was born in 1971.
Okay, yeah. 59 for me and Randy, and 54, I think, for Tim.
54. Yeah.
Somebody in the chat was 1970 or something, or really close. So they're your age. I can't remember who it was.
Well,
Elizabeth.
you're
was
just
born in 1970.
Yeah. I was saying
She
that
says she barely
Let's,
understands some of the things, but not all the way. Yes, we are way older. Tim is way older than us all.
Elizabeth Thompson says that she's
Born in
pretty
70.
sure we are way, not just older.
Yeah, way
than
older.
her.
I remember saying that. I remember saying that we went to like my 5-year reunion, and somebody from the class just older than me had married a girl in my class, and they were sitting at the bar, and he was with somebody else in his class too. And I said, "What are you old guys doing here?" And you know, they're 23 or 4, and I'm 23. You're like, "You mean old guys?"
Yeah, well,
the same age essentially as you.
Elizabeth, I'll have you know, I am old enough to be your brother.
I was 16. No, wait. I was 16 when you were born, if you were born after August. And I was 17 when you were born, Peter.
Kinder Kim apologizes for Mormonism
It's,
being exported to Australia.
Okay.
It's funny you say that, because where I live in South Australia, Mormons are like, I don't know, they're those kids that knock on your door on a Saturday to annoy the piss out of you. We just don't have them here.
How long did it take for the pioneers to get there?
Well, if you fly direct
Actually
from
sailing
Dallas,
upside
it's 17 hours to Sydney.
It's how far? How many hours?
Kim
If
is
you
way
fly direct
older
from
than I am.
Dallas, it is 17 hours.
17 hours from Dallas to Sydney is 17 hours.
Direct.
I don't know if I could be in an airplane that long. Drive me nuts. Maybe I could
How
do
does
it.
an airplane fly that long? I mean, can they do a direct flight?
Yeah.
I mean, not like they can land in the middle of the ocean and refuel, but
Yeah.
that's a long way.
That is direct. That's a direct flight.
Maybe you can have John DeLynn interview you for Mormon Stories, and time will just go by so fast. All 17 hours of Tim's life could be told in his transcontinental flight.
Oh.
You just don't see Mormons here where I live.
John's last episode
As a
was
matter of
only
fact.
3 hours, and it was like time had gone by really fast. It's like it can't be over already. A 3-hour episode.
Yeah, that was a short one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I do have
one.
Peter. Do they play baseball in Australia? Or
Yes, absolutely. We have a number of former Australian baseball players that actually play in your league in the US.
yeah?
Cool.
Name a few of them.
I
think
one of
somebody
them
was
used
on the
to be-
Oakland A's.
who I used to go to school with was Luke Prokopec.
But anyway, so here's something I did once. I was at an Oakland A's game, and a guy named, I can't remember his first name for sure, but his last name is Bibby, and his brother played basketball, and he pitched a perfect game. And that's a game where 27 batters came to the plate and 27 outs were made. And so nobody.
Basketball?
Well, his brother played basketball, but this guy
Okay.
was pitching for the Texas Rangers. And so it was a perfect game. And about the sixth inning, the fans started cheering for the other team. Whenever we would make it out, fans would cheer. And I was asking my dad, why is that happening? How could people, change sides just in one game? And he said, "Oh, they're not cheering against our team. They're cheering for the incredible performance that they're witnessing." So at that time, there were 18 batters up and 18 batters down, and we were all wondering if history would be made, and sure enough, he did it. I can't remember. His name was like Ken Bibby or Jim Bibby, maybe Jim Bibby. But anyhow, that was an exciting and eventful. I don't know. I can ask our Echo box how many perfect games have been pitched.
He mutes himself when he talks to Alexa. Otherwise, all of our Alexas talk.
That's right. 23 perfect games in 150 years of baseball.
Wow.
So it's a pretty rare event.
That's very rare.
I've got a question,
Very
Peter.
small club.
I have an Australian question for you. Why is it that all the Australian people are pretty? They're attractive people. Olivia Newton-John, hello. Hugh Jackman, we were just talking about him. It just seems like we had an Australian, what do you call it? Foreign student abroad. What is that when you have a student from a different country? In school,
like an exchange student.
Exchange
student, yes. We had an exchange student from Australia, and the the high school girls went crazy over him. But it's true. All the Australians that I've seen are very attractive people. Healthy living, is that what it is?
Yes, it is. We're a very active bunch.
That's true. It must be the Vegemite.
So I'll tell you guys right now, here's something unique.
Yes.
I know somebody who lives in Mongolia.
Well, we all do.
I think we all do. Yeah.
Say hi to Diamond Dave.
Oh.
Hi, Diamond Dave.
How's he going? Is he keeping it real?
Hi, Diamond Dave.
Vegemite, I don't mean to be offensive.
To answer your question, Randy, it's all in the water.
That must be. It could be.
It could be the water.
Not Vegemite, because he brought us a bottle of Vegemite. And what? People actually like that? And they eat that on purpose? Have you tasted that, Peter?
Puts hair in your chest.
There's a very distinct way of eating that stuff.
Yes, there is.
Tastes like a bottle of soy sauce with a cup and a half of salt mixed in, and crush up a few aspirins, and that's what it tastes like to me.
Oh, that's an interesting description. That's not I remember it, but okay, that's fine.
Well, what did it taste like to you, Jim?
I can't remember. All I remember is the yeast taste.
Well, there's our Mongolian friend.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
So, how y'all
doing? We're worldwide now. Look at we're on 3 different continents.
Diamond Dave is unique in that he married his soulmate. Or are you married yet? When is that?
We're engaged.
He's engaged to his soulmate.
She is more than a soulmate, my good sir. More than a soulmate.
More than
How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Have you been to a Mongolian grill yet?
We've been to a couple Mongolian places. You want to say hi, babe? You want to say hi?
Sure.
Come here. Come say hi. Come say hi. You have to get down a little bit.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you.
No.
It's nice,
Love you, baby.
nice to see you in person-ish, kind of.
Yeah, in person-ish, yeah.
I've seen photos.
Modern day person.
Yeah, she's real, guys. She's real.
We were talking about brushes with fame, Peter and
Brush-
Dave. Have you had any?
Like
Brushes with
unique
fame? That's funny you should mention that.
All right.
Yeah, so well, Tim and I think Gene know this, but my fiance's late father, he sculpted the Chinggis Khan equestrian statue monument here in Mongolia, and there's also other Mongolian like national monuments that have either been built or in the process of being built that he sculpted. So it's a pretty well known family.
That's
That
a
is
lot.
Some
wild.
people Googling, go Google that. It's awesome. But yeah. And I guess I'm kind of a little famous, maybe sort of, not really. I have
That's
like
right.
116K followers on
There you go.
Facebook that are international, and yeah.
Well, see, now we're having a brush with fame even as we speak
Yeah.
because we've got Diamond Dave on the show.
We've got Mongolia and Australia represented. And
Australia. Nice.
Right there,
Yeah.
Australia. Peter, have you had any brushes with fame? Peter.
Other than the gunny sergeant from Full Metal Jacket.
I think that is cool. That's one guy I'd want to meet.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
really,
Ever
really
helped
nice
Steve
fellow.
Irwin?
Yeah, a couple times.
His
Who else?
son
I
has
think who else people would know.
followed in his footsteps.
Yes, he has. I'm pretty sure Robert runs the Australia Zoo with his mum up in Queensland.
Wow.
I saw his daughter on Dancing with the Stars, and she was one of the sweetest people I think I've ever seen. She was just so kind.
Oh, Bindi. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that was her name. And she was just singing the praise of her family and her dad. And it was really touching.
Well, her mum is American, so there's that.
Oh, is she? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen her interviewed before. Yeah.
Yep. I'm not sure where in the States, but yeah, she is American.
Bindi.
I've met a few prime ministers, but other than that, no. Oh, Lisa says if I made it to Australia, you'd never come back. Yeah, that does happen a lot.
I think I wouldn't come back if I were to go to Australia. I think I'd stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of all the beautiful people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely when you travel overseas, and then you come back to Australia, you realise just how lucky we do have it.
Except for the spiders. The spiders are, you guys have these giant spiders that just scares the hell out of me. I don't, those look horrible.
But how do they taste?
But they aren't poisonous though. They're just, right, Peter? They're not, I don't think there's any venomous spiders in Australia.
Yeah, we've got, I think it's the world's second most deadly spider, the Sydney funnel web.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter, Tim, if they're poisonous or not. They'd kill me anyway if I saw one of those freaking banana spiders or whatever they're called crawling up my arm. Are you kidding me? my heart would just stop right there.
Those are the pet ones.
Yeah, they put them on a leash.
Nah, there's lots of dangerous stuff here that'll kill you, but you got to really go looking for it.
Yeah, how often do you really see it?
I mean, occasionally you'll come across a king brown snake or a copperhead or a yellow belly in your backyard, but not very often.
I mean, how often do you see roos?
See what?
Kangaroos.
I
Roos.
can tell you, kangaroos taste great.
But how often do you see them?
He's thinking about it.
No.
What kind of wildlife do you have in Mongolia, Dave?
I hang out mainly in Ulaanbaatar, but I know that there are like yaks and goats and sheep all over the place. I'd imagine in the rural areas it would be like, you know, snakes and spiders and stuff. But I haven't been that far out yet, so I'm pretty content where I'm at right now.
I can handle a yak or a goat, but
Yeah.
It's those spiders.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many spiders here. There's like I've seen some like wasps and a couple weird looking bugs that are probably locusts or related to like locusts and grasshoppers, just on how their frame is, but they don't appear to be venomous.
Looks like Peter's losing his connection.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose
Crap.
Peter?
The ping,
Crap.
the Australian ping.
I was going to say, oh, there he is, but that's me.
Yeah, you took a spot. Let's see. Well, it would have been good to have Megan come, but she's been busy and I know a little under the weather, and say some things that she could add to the conversation. It's been kind of boring with just us guys, but the ladies in the chat have been good. And Peter's back.
Yeah.
Who you call
So
it boring?
So the episode is brushes with fame, huh?
Or something
Yeah,
interesting or something that's interesting you've done in your life.
Yeah, a unique experience.
Like how many people, like I said, how many people have been sailplaning or glider flying or even in an airplane?
How many people have been raised Hindu and became Mormon?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Or how many people have been to the top of Pikes Peak? Me.
Yeah.
Or how many people have been to Germany? Or how many people have been to, me and Randy? How many people have been to England? Randy, you been to England?
I have
No?
not.
I have.
Okay.
I'm a dual citizen, actually.
All right, yeah.
I still
see?
need to
On the
get my
map.
passport updated.
I spent my 21st birthday in England and New York.
At the same time?
At the same time, we left England that morning. We flew into LaGuardia, went to see my grandparents in Brooklyn, and flew out of JFK that
That's
day.
a long day.
That was a very, very long day. I got
Long
sick.
birthday.
That was a long birthday. I got sick when we got on the airplane. It was a 727 going from there to, I think, Chicago is where we got on the DC-10. I got really sick because of the time. You know, it's for my body. It's easier for me to go west to east than east to west. I always have trouble coming back, and I was really sick. I got really, really bad. You know, they gave me those poppers under my nose, make sure I was okay.
To revive you.
To revive me. Yeah, I was pretty bad.
Remember the movie Dirty Dancing? I stayed
Where?
the night on the set where they filmed Dirty Dancing, you know, where Patrick Swayze lifted
Up in
Jennifer
New York,
above his head.
you were in the
stayed
Cats.
night in there.
You were in the Catskills.
Is that where it was? It was when we
Yeah.
were in North Carolina. So
North Carolina.
It's one of the North states. Yeah. Yeah. It was the lake where he lifted her up and stuff. They still had all the set there. They just walked away from it. So the stairs where she's carrying the watermelon up and where Patrick Swayze beat the guy up right outside the cabins, they were all still there. They just left the whole movie set right by the lake.
Interesting.
So we on vacation, we just, it was two of us families, and we had all our camping stuff because our intention was to go camping, and we decided we were going to camp right there on the set of Dirty Dancing. And it's not like a popular spot. No one even knows where it's at. We had to ask some of the locals where to find it. But you know when you find it because everything's right there.
Well, it's like going out to Vesca's Rocks where they shot Arena for Star Trek.
Wait,
And-
maybe it was
well-
North Virginia. No, it was like North Carolina. But yeah, who knows? I didn't know where the hell I was. I was on a vacation.
It was in Virginia.
Is that
Well,
where it
some
was?
some of it was Virginia, some of it was North Carolina.
Well, ours was North Carolina. It was
Okay.
where they also filmed the famous Indian, Native American. I keep wanting to say Pocahontas, but the male.
Oh, Dances with Wolves.
Nope. No, it was the name of the Native American. Really famous. The great.
Squanto.
No, it was
Trying to think.
Native American.
Geronimo. I think it was
Geronimo?
Geronimo's Last Stand.
Geronimo?
Oh, Geronimo. Okay.
Stephen Stansfield says that he went on a mission to Adelaide, Australia. And Stephen did something that not very many of the audience members have done. He bought lunch for Tim Rathbone at
What?
Thrive St. George.
Stephen? Yeah, Stephen. I remember Steve.
Yeah. And
Wow.
also me and Michelle and who else was there? He paid for our lunch. I should post a picture of that, but I don't know if I have it on Facebook or anything, and I can't find it in my pictures. But yeah, it was a fun lunch. Where
Thank you, Stephen, again.
Stephen, do you remember where we ate? So it wasn't Chief Joseph.
Oh, what was that? That restaurant.
Copper Kettle, or it had so you could buy stuff from the restaurant with from old kitchen pots and pans and trivets and different things.
Like the Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. Michelle comes through with another help for the show. So yeah,
What am
wanna
I,
thank
chocolate?
you for that.
I said Cracker Barrel. I love
Did you?
that restaurant.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay. Lake Lure, North Carolina.
Good times.
Yeah, so it's about time we should wrap up. We're over an hour and a half, and so
Yes.
if anybody else wants to put things that they did in the comments below this video, sometimes I notice some people's lives don't allow comments, and sometimes they do, and I think ours allows comments while it's going, but we have an active chat, so that's pretty good. And so thanks, Diamond Dave, for coming. We can
Yes,
still
thank
chat
you,
with you in the after show, catch up with everything, and
Yeah.
but we'll say goodbye to our audience. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And
Join the
Yes.
after show.
if
During the
people-
after show.
if you can come and join the after show if you wanted to.
It
And
gets
I'll-
pretty crazy.
I think I can do the StreamYard link one more time.
Are we going to play strip poker again?
Sure, why not?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This group, I don't want anyone to lose.
You're welcome, Peter. Thanks for being here, Peter. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, and sorry to hear that Lisa's in the hospital.
Yeah, Lisa, you get better, friend.
Better.
Yes. Quick
Please.
healing.
Hope it's not like my last visit in the hospital. Wow.
Especially the part about getting released at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
That must have been a long walk home in the dark for you.
I got a ride. Yeah.
Okay. Kinder Kim says
All right.
her husband.
Oh, it's
So yeah, but
Oh, it's
anyway,
not-
going through that family trauma.
Oh, her hubby? Oh, I'm sorry.
Stephen Stamps would say he was screaming at his phone. So yes.
you're
With
late,
Cracker Barrel.
Stephen. You're late. We already got it, Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen, again.
If anybody also wants to put in the chat or the comments some suggestions for future shows, it's not like we're running out necessarily, but all the important stuff is covered by John DeLynn and Mormonism Live, and we're just having fun chatting.
Yeah,
in Tim's living room. So if there's
about stuff.
subjects you want to talk about, that let us know. Right?
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes.
Bye.
Give us
Bye.
suggestions.